We've had Shaco picked at Worlds, an NA team getting to the quarterfinals, and last night we witnessed another phenomenon on League's biggest stage, support PYKE. And you're probably thinking, why on earth would I care about PYKE and therefore this video? Well, first of all, the Jizz has the pro perspective. Beryl ends up hard carrying this game with some of the most perfect League gameplay I've ever seen, especially in the mid to late game. It is sick to watch. So we are going to break this gameplay down, and even if you aren't a support main, trust me, you will 100% learn something in the next 10 or so minutes. So for more pro views from Worlds, leave a like on the video and let's get into it. And this game is from Down One Kids Beryl, guys, their support player, and he's playing with Ziggs and against a Rakan and Misfortune. This is in the Down One versus Mad Lions series, and the first thing you're going to notice here is that this is a melee versus melee matchup in the support department, so typically whoever is in lane first is going to get the push, and it's really important when this happens you try to preserve as much HP as possible. But Beryl actually gets caught out here. Despite being really clever and not skilling an ability until he actually needs to, Rakan's W actually cancels him out of his E and he loses a bit of HP for it. But not to worry, because he has a couple of health potions and he's still standing in a pretty safe position when he actually gets caught, so he can just run back to safety. Now when this wave crashes, something has actually changed in the bot lane, and it's quite simple. The enemy bot lane is not in lane, so whenever this happens you should be pinging missing on the map, and what you can do is be even more specific with your pings. So pinging the river here for Showmaker who's playing Syndra, this would be a very smart play, but we just have to trust that Beryl is using his microphone. But same thing here, guys, there's a very important detail. Just because Misfortune and Rakan were AFK for a little bit, this means that for Beryl and for Ziggs, they have first access to the wave, which means they are going to generate that push, which then means that they're going to have the minion advantage very soon, so fighting at any point near or around this minion wave is going to be a good thing. Now Beryl also does something here that's very important, because when you have the minion wave advantage, guys, you need to be adjusting your positioning. Sitting behind your range minions or under your tower isn't going to do anything, so you have to look to capitalize on this advantage, and this really happens by controlling the brushes parallel to this minion wave and even ahead of them. This is why Beryl is camping in this brush, and by doing so he is exerting pressure on the enemy champion, so if Rakan or Misfortune ever gets in range of this PYKE and this brush, he can pounce and punish them for it. But because this is the world stage, this isn't Diamond in Turkey, the Misfortune is going to stand further away from PYKE, so Beryl can't really do much, but in your games, guys, trust me, this will give you opportunities to kill your opponents. Now as the wave progresses in the lane, watch how Beryl's positioning changes. Again, he's hugging the side of that minion wave and controlling these brushes. But all of a sudden, Beryl is going to run out of this brush, and why on earth would he do this? Well, this is simply because the enemy Gragas is pathing towards the bot side of the map, and for Beryl, if he was to sit in these bottom brushes, it's actually a pretty long way back to his tower. This is why he moves to the north, so he might even be able to see Gragas path through the river here before the gank actually happens. Now, after these minions clear, you're going to notice that Beryl is going to recall, and it looks a bit sus because he's only on 360 gold, but the reason for this, guys, is simply because he's running Predator on PYKE, and getting boots of speed is going to give him access to Predator so he can get around the map and start to hard carry. And another reason why I really love this recall is because he times it with his Lee Sin's recall, so both him and Canyon are going to run out of base as strong as they can be because they've just spent their gold, so if a fight does break out around their blue buff here where Gragas is, they are in a very good position to win this fight. And that's exactly what ends up happening. Canyon secures his blue buff and Down One have a nice little lead going. Now just a little bit later, guys, Beryl is going to do something that's so smart, and this is one of the most important concepts to understand for anyone on League of Legends. So if you can make the same play on the map, it might be a gank or roam, without being seen, this is way more effective than making the play while being in vision. So when Beryl goes down this river here, he's going to use his W so the Scuttle Crab ward can't see him, and some people might even hit this zombie ward here because it's giving you gold. But Beryl knows that when he hits this, the enemy team is going to know his whereabouts, so he's going to leave this, walk in this brush, and this actually allows him to catch up to Misfortune, and this is really what sets up this kill here. He's then going to flash with his E to stun the MF, and it's a nice easy kill for the Ziggs, but this would never happen if Beryl was to hit those wards or run over it in the first place. So the more you can stay out of the enemy vision, guys, the more opportunities you're going to have to get kills on the map. Now when Beryl recalls here, guys, and after he comes out of base, he's going to run to the top side of the map, and this looks really weird for a support, right? Why not run bot when your Ziggs is 1-0 to keep that lead? Well, the reason for this is because Beryl suspects a play is going to happen on the top side of the map based on what's happening. So lots of enemy champions might be running towards this side of the map to counter what has been going on. So Beryl here, guys, is really protecting his teammates from that potential collapse. But while doing so, he's not just going to give away his position, because this again would notify the enemy team. So knowing that this river brush might be warded, he's not going to run over this because the enemy team would know his whereabouts. And also when he runs down to the mid lane, hitting this vision plant here, the enemy team might think this is Lee Sin, and just because he thinks a play might happen in the top lane, so Jay's getting ganked, he's just going to hover ever so slightly so he can actually counter gank and protect his winning lane here. But because nothing is going to happen, Beryl is going to rotate to the mid lane, but this is kind of a waste of time, just because if we think about the map, guys, Lee Sin Lane is on his Krugs, and he's definitely going to recall because he's been on the map for a while and he definitely has gold. So if Beryl was to gank this enemy Victor here, the problem with this is that Rakan is probably doing the same thing, and the enemy jungler, Gragas, is also unknown on the map. So he may well be in the boss side brush to the mid lane, and this would be a 2v3 and a complete throw of the game. So Beryl, as soon as he sees Rakan, is going to get out of the situation, and it's very important, guys, to always consider the numbers and where people are on the map. Now, unfortunately, guys, Showmaker is going to get caught out here because his wave is in such a bad position, and because Lee Sin isn't here, Beryl knows this is going to be a 2v3, so he cannot do anything to save Sorrymaker. But what happens after this is really smart from Beryl. He knows that Jace is having a very strong game, and because Ziggs is most likely in a 1v1, he doesn't need to go to the bot lane here, so he's going to react to the enemy teams playing the top lane and try to protect his winning top. He gets there in time and ends up picking up a kill, and you can see that for the last 2 to 3 minutes, he has not been anywhere near the bot lane. So in your games, guys, if you have numbers in the top side of the map, do not be afraid to go there. Now, after this top play, guys, Beryl is going to get back on the map, and you can see exactly the same thing, right? There's a fight towards the top side of the map, so he's going to run through the mid lane in anticipation of an enemy response. And you'll notice when he gets to the mid lane, he does not move in range of the enemy team's minions. This again would give his position away, and also notice how he uses his sweeper around popular warding spots for the enemy team. This is something you should definitely do when you're walking through popular choke points. Now, once Showmaker shoves this wave out, you'll notice again that Beryl does not move close to that enemy minion wave because these minions will spot him, and just because his teammates are looking to do the Rift Herald, he's going to move towards this objective, knowing that Ziggs is probably going to be fine in the bot lane. Now, what Beryl does in the next 10 or 20 so seconds, guys, is really good as well, because as a support, your goal is to get your teammates fed at all costs. So what you can do when you're playing a very slippery support like Pyke is you can bait cooldowns onto yourself. So Beryl, in this situation, you might be like, well, he's caught out, surely, but you have to understand your champion's cooldowns, guys, to be able to do this. Look at the bottom of your screen. So Beryl has his E and he still has his flash. Now, if he was to trade his flash for maybe Gragas's flash, or if he was able to bait Gragas's ultimate, this would be a really big win for down one, and then they can pressure the drag, knowing that Gragas doesn't have this key cooldown. So what Beryl does, he's going to be looking at Gragas and Rakan this whole time, and as soon as Gragas shapes up to throw his explosive cast, he's going to E over this wall. So essentially what Beryl is doing is trading his E for a Gragas ultimate. This, of course, is so worth it down one, and is something you can definitely do in your games. Wait until that last second to bait the enemy's cooldowns, and then use your escape. Now, I want to show you one more play in this early game, which just goes to show how important it is to play around the enemy vision. So after clearing this ward, Beryl is going to run down here to this vision plant and hit this. And even at this level, even though Miss Fortune should recognize this and probably back up, look at the position she is in when Beryl actually gets here. Now, Beryl does an important thing. He control wards this brush. Then he knows if Miss Fortune really knows he's here or not. And as soon as he does that, he's going to use his W and gap close to the Miss Fortune. Now, unfortunately, he misses his Q. It's pretty droll. But just having a really good opportunity to kill Miss Fortune again is just set up by how he moves around the map and how he controls vision. And this is where the game really starts opening up, guys, and Beryl is going to show his class. So Ghost, who's on Ziggs in this game, isn't really the most important champion because Khan on Jace is having a really good game, and this is really the lane that Downwatch should play around. So again, Beryl is going to rotate towards the top side of the map and control the enemy top jungle vision. So putting wards in this brush and at this crossroads point to the enemy Grand blue buff, this is a great way to set up kills for your team. And what he's going to do very soon, guys, is actually burn Rakan's flash by abusing a fog of war tactic. So when Beryl sees that Rakan has his red sweeper going and he anticipates Rakan trying to kill this ward of his, he is going to stand behind this wall, and because he is protected by the corner of this terrain, Rakan cannot actually see him, so Beryl is going to charge up his Q and hit the Rakan and eventually force his flash. So this is one great way of using your vision control, guys, using pockets of fog to catch out enemy champions. And speaking of, Beryl is going to pick up his second kill of the game here. And what really sets this up is once again where he's pathing on the map. So because Rift Herald isn't up and because Dragon is up, this is obviously the most important objective at around 14 minutes. So he's going to path towards this objective, ward outside the enemy red buff, and then instead of actually hitting the dragon, which lots of players might do, he's going to sit in this brush to catch out any enemy champions that might want. So as soon as Rakan comes in here, he's going to ping him. This is so important to do in your games, especially because in solo queue, you don't have microphones to communicate. This lets Showmaker know, the Syndra, that he's going to go in here and land this hook, and Showmaker lands the stun and Rakan gets blown up. So that is another great example of exploiting vision and using those pockets of fog to catch out enemy champion. And the last play we're going to watch here, guys, is one of the sickest team fights I've seen from a support player, and Beryl is going to show us the big difference between an elite player and pretty much everyone else. So in this clip, you can see the dragon is spawning soon, so this becomes the major objective for down one to play around. So Beryl is going to try to control vision around this area, getting rid of this control ward and using his sweeper so he can clear enemy wards that are deep in his territory so they can't TP behind his team. Then he's going to move over, and you might be like, why on earth is he not clearing this ward and going for a Q? Well, the reason for this is because the enemy champions cannot see him. While this ward has this little cross symbol above it, this means that this ward is shrunk. It's not working. So Beryl is able to land a hook on Rakan, but just because the Victor is zoning his teammates, no one can really capitalize on this. So it's important in these situations, guys, just to understand that if your teammates can't do so, you back out of that fight, which is exactly what Beryl does. Now, he can't really do anything at the moment because he's on cooldown. So in these situations, what you're doing, guys, is trying to wait for all your cooldowns to come back up so you can use them with one another. Now, as this mini back and forth expires, you're going to see Beryl W here and run through this brush. Now, because down one have a control ward in here, it's impossible for Mad Lions to know what's going on. So Beryl is able to get so close to Victor and land his Q into his E, and that's a guaranteed kill. Then what he's going to do, because Canyon makes a sick play, is capitalize on the misfortune. And at this point, it's really just about, guys, coordinating with your teammate. If Syndra wasn't behind Beryl, there's no point going after these champions. But just because they are, he's able to use his abilities together with theirs, and this makes your team a lot more potent. And down one end up killing the Rakan and the Wukong, and at 21 minutes on the world stage, Beryl is 6-0-4 on a random Pyke support pick. So if you did enjoy the pro view, guys, I know it's in a bit of a weird resolution, but if you did enjoy it, again, please remember to leave a like on the video. Also remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future daily uploads just like this one, and also make sure to check out the website on your way out, linked in the description and comment section. Our challenger players and coaches are uploading up to 20 videos a week for your benefit, so to get exclusive access to these, make sure to sign up. And until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Cheers.